Hi, this is Wendy, your host of the To Be Known Mental Health and Wellness channel. This is part one of a 5-part series preparing hosts for their guests. Part one focuses on self-care for the host, how not to burn out, and how to avoid secondary trauma. My guest today is my good friend Chris Jaeger. Chris is a volunteer. The first most important thing, because it sustains you so you can keep going, is protecting yourself from secondary trauma. Okay. And so what that looks like is, first of all, creating your own boundaries. Okay. So that looks like, with all the work you're doing, how many people do you actually interact with a day? And how do you plan your week based on that? And remember, secondary trauma is going to also come from the things that you read and the things that you see. Okay, so not just the people that you speak with.
Okay.
And so if you think about it like this is an analogy that someone with MS actually gave to a friend, for the friend to understand what it was like to live with MS. And it actually applies to everybody. And what happened was, they were at like lunch and they were sitting at the table, and the friend asked this question, like, what is it actually like for you? What is it like to live with this? And she picked up all the spoons on the table, and she had 8 spoons in her hand. And she said, this is all I get a day. I have 8 spoons. I have to figure out how to utilize my spoons to get me through the morning to the evening. Okay. So it's actually a really good analogy, because the value of the spoon is whatever value you put on it. It's not like you use I only have 10 pounds and, because I already have an idea of what 10 pounds is worth, whatever a spoon is worth to you, right? And so I figure on my day, I know that it takes 2 spoons to do this, 2 spoons, so I can kind of plan my day based on that, understanding, giving myself the resilience for a whole day. I can't run out of spoons. Okay. Does that make sense? And so yes. And you're also monitoring that, right? So if I figured it was going to take me 2 spoons to make this phone call to whoever, distribution or whoever you're trying to connect with, and actually it was so difficult, it was a 4-spoon phone call, I realized that I have to change what's going on. I don't have enough to do all the things I thought I was going to do. Something's got to go. Maybe I bring something from tomorrow and put it in today and move that to tomorrow, or whatever I have to do. But I'm very conscious of what it costs me. What do these things cost me? What does that phone call cost me? What does writing that newsletter cost me? What does that cost me in terms of my own resilience? And then I'm protecting myself so that I don't burn out, that I don't go into trauma. Okay. So that's the first thing, doing that kind of thing. Right. And this is even like, if speaking to a family member is draining, right? So I have that. Speaking to my mom and dad, that's draining for me. I'm conscious of when I take those calls or when I make those calls, because that's, that's a 3-spoon call for me. These kinds of things, being conscious of that. And that's even like, grocery shopping, cooking dinner, that kind of stuff, right? And you're making sure that you're putting in there time to replenish. So what works for you, making sure you're making time to do your yoga in the morning, or those things. Don't feel guilty that people are suffering and you're doing yoga by the pool. Okay. You need that.
Okay.
To replenish yourself so that you're starting the day with 8 spoons.
Yeah, that makes great sense. I think I do a lot of that intuitively, but intentionality is really the new, to actually think about it.
Yeah. The other thing would be boundaries. Okay. So you want to boundary your home. Okay. And based on how you're using your home in this, so like, I know you have your computer is in on the ground floor there, basement level, right? If that's where you're doing your work and writing your newsletters or whatever, I would say pick a part of your home that this work gets done and keep it there. Okay. Keep it out of the rest of your home. Keep it out of your kitchen, keep it out of your patio, keep it out of your bedroom. Really important. So great. Okay. Okay. Even with, you know, I know you've got this one family that's coming to live with you now. My guess is you'll probably do that again with the short term kind of until somebody finds a home. Boundarying with that. So in other words, how much time do you need in the morning to yourself, and make that, keep that, right? So I don't interact with our guests until X time of day, 10 in the morning, 11 in the morning, whatever that looks like, that you give yourself your home, your peace, your time. Yeah. So that when you are ready to engage, you cross that line.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I mean, we already did that sort of for them as well, because they need a safe space for themselves.
This is, yeah. And this is the same thing with phone calls, with looking at emails, with any of that kind of stuff, whatever that looks like. You just boundary that. Okay. So that you have, so that your space is pure. This is now my time from this time to this time. Okay. And I would even say, like you and John talking about things, I would keep that again in a certain space. You know, okay. if you guys are discussing stuff, you know, so that dinner time is dinner time and bedtime is bedtime. And, you know, so you have a place, we're going to have a chat about whatever, we're going to sit on the patio, or we're going to, you know, whatever it is that you find. Okay. Yeah. But trying to do your best to boundary, your space is really important. Then, okay. The next thing is whatever you're reading, whatever you're hearing, I would try to stay away from as many actual photographs or video as you can. Try to listen, you know, audio or reading. Whatever you're hearing, whether it be from a person or a report, in your mind's eye, you do it in illustration. Okay. So someone says you never ever put yourself in the place. And this is really important because the way our brains are wired, your brain is going to try to do that for you. Okay. Your brain is going to say, what do I know about this situation? And it's going to release a whole bunch of situations that you've been in or places you've been in that are similar to help you make a decision, is basically what, you know, it's all about survival, right? So that's what's going to come up. So someone says the bridge, right? So I'll give you an example. So counseling trauma clients that were involved in the terrorist attack that happened over in Burroughs Market. Okay, right? So they came over the bridge and went to Burroughs Market. Okay. They were right outside. In fact, you and I may even have had a meal there. A restaurant that I frequent. Okay. Yeah, me too. Yeah. And so when you hear about that, you're on the bridge. In your mind, I can see it. I can walk on it. I can feel that, you know, a car coming right up over the curb. Right. So you don't want that. So if you think about that aha video back from the day that was all drawn. Yeah. It's kind of like that. I sent you, one of the pictures I sent you was a bridge. This one? It's perfect, right? Any bridge, right? It's just a bridge. Think of that. Anywhere, any, you know, but that's the kind of thing that you're thinking about, right? Someone's telling you that black and white picture, child's drawing of a bridge, black and white picture, child's drawing of a house, of a puppy, of a fire, right? That's the visual that you get, because now you're not putting yourself in that place. You're observing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Really important to protect yourself from secondary trauma. Okay. That is so true, because I'll tell you, when I was in high school, you know, my dad, you know, his job, and he invited me if I wanted to see an autopsy patient. This was not the procedure itself. And I looked at those internal organs and I felt every single one of them inside my body, and I saw stars and I almost fainted, and he held me up.
I was there.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And so really important to protect yourself from putting yourself in the picture. So even someone's talking about their son who they've left behind. Do not put Ed or Hans's face on them.
Right.
Okay. You see a picture, a stick figure of a family with a mom and dad and 2 sons and a daughter.
Yep.
Right. That's what you do to help you be in the story without putting yourself in there and putting your own stuff in there. Okay. Really important. Okay.
Okay.
And then your own debrief. Who is safe for your own debrief? Okay. And so, it is not the other person doing the same thing you're doing.
Okay.
Okay. Because what happens is now, instead of just having the stories and the situation that you have been involved with, you now have twice as many. Right. You need somebody who's going to just hear you. You want to find somebody who can just, confidentially hear what you have to say, let you release, let you cry if you need to cry, whatever it is that this is bringing up for me.
Yeah.
So I need to, or even I'm so angry. Okay. So I remember the first time I met with a client who had been assaulted. I remember writing on the my notes, my session notes, with my hand like this, I'm so angry, and put it in the file and tried to walk away from it. Okay. Got home, walked outside, called my supervisor, and ranted for about 10 minutes about how I was feeling, not about the client, how angry I was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So you need to be able to do that in a place that, and not necessarily your colleague. Your colleague's really angry too. And now the two of you are like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
Okay. So that's not the best. What you share with your colleague is the thing that helps you. Best practices, things like that, but not the stories. Try to stay away from the stories.
Okay.
Got enough stories you're hearing. Boundary your stories, help each other boundary your stories. Yeah, because that's really important. Okay. Any questions about any of that?
No, other than, so John would not be a good person for me, because he's kind of, he's not very involved, but he definitely knows the people and the situations.
Again, it's about what you're doing there is you don't want to hear more stories. You want to keep, I've got my number of stories, and that's what I'm working with. And so if he can do that, then that's fine.
Okay.
If he can keep to that, and if he can keep to, this is about me processing what I'm hearing, how that's affecting me, what's coming up in me. Because that's really important, that I'm identifying my own response to what I'm hearing. Mm-hmm. And I'm able to say, that's mine. And what, separate from what's yours. And so, so an example, and this won't necessarily fit with what you're doing, but just to give you an actionable example, you understand my relationship with my mother and my siblings, right? So when I have clients who have a mother issue, I have to be really clear about what my response is based on my own personal, situation and experience, and what I choose to do about it versus what my client's experience is and what they choose to do about it.
Got it.
Okay. So now you've identified it. You're holding it. But the place, if it's John, that's the place you say how angry you are. That's when you stomp your feet. That's when you say there's no justice in the world. That's, that's when you do that. And then you get it out, and that's your response. And then you can be, the best example is we talk about it. these difficult stories that someone's talking with you about, or situations. Okay. This is the person, this is you. Okay. Chris, it was horrible. Bombs going off, this happening, other thing happening, downloaded. Now you got it. Okay. And that's one person, and that's another person, and that's another person, and that's another person. And by the end of the day or the end of the week, you're like, right? So what you do with that is you validate what you've heard and you give it back. I hear how difficult that was for you. I hear you saying what it felt like to have to make that choice. I've heard your pain. Okay.
Yeah.
So you validate it, but at the end of your time with that person, you're not holding it.
Right.
Okay. And better even to just say, show me. Show me this side, show me that side, show me the other side, show me. But it's hard for us not to hold it for a little bit. That's just reality.
Yeah.
Better not to hold it at all if you can. But if you do wind up, when you realize it's in your hand, make sure it's back in their hand before you leave. This is real, this is genuine. But also this is your pain. Okay. So those are kind of the things that you do to protect yourself from not.
Yeah, it makes so much sense, because so many of them have left family members behind. And so of course I'm thinking about sisters and parents and feel what I would feel. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Super helpful.
Yeah. This is all real time, right? You're figuring this.
Yeah.
So being able to have that time to process, to separate, to give yourself a chance to have your own response. And that, as difficult as it is, to say, I'm okay. My kids are okay. My country is okay. My home is standing, right? Haven't left my husband behind. My boys are not in danger. My grandchild. Please tune in for part 2, understanding how the body reacts to trauma. Part 3, how to calm your body after trauma, safety and stabilization. Part 4, the stages of trauma recovery. And part 5, understanding self-harm and suicidal thoughts. For more videos supporting hosts and guests, hit subscribe.